choose them as the right partner for this work?
Yeah, so I think that our account manager, starting this year, we do planning half a year at a time. So going into the first half of 2024, we're chatting with our AWS account manager. We said we had a whole laundry list of different Gen AI stuff we were thinking about doing. We were talking about Bedrock. And she had mentioned us talking to some AWS partners about potentially working with them to do some things on the list. So I think we set up like 2 to 3 different initial calls, and one of those was with Loka. And a huge differentiator of just chatting with Emily actually on the call was we went through that list of probably about 20 items. One by one, we talked about, I think we put them in about 4 different categories. So which ones did we actually have the data internally to be able to accomplish, and which ones were just, we didn't have enough structured information to do anything with. Which ones were actually like a good fit for Gen AI in the first place as far as its current existence in 2024, and which ones maybe were further off or not possible yet. Ultimately, which ones we actually had the experience with our engineering team in-house to be able to do ourselves quickly and efficiently. And then which ones maybe were more of a stretch that, we did have the data for, the technology was probably there, but we definitely didn't have the expertise, the time, the resources in-house to be able to do. And that's where we landed on this chat-based conversational discovery product in partnership with Loka. Additionally, through that conversation, it was just very obvious how deep their knowledge is about AWS, all the services, not just Gen AI and Bedrock and SageMaker, but all the services around it and the integration of them back into our product. So that was super encouraging, and they just knew a ton about all the different programs and initiatives that were available as well. So it was just obvious to us, in those conversations that Loka was the right fit.
That's great. We'd love to hear that. Ruba shared a slide earlier about conversion rates. And so just as a follow-up to that, Emily, you're one of the partners that's on the board here as being exceptional at scoping, prioritizing with customers, and then delivering POC to production workloads. And I'd love to understand a little bit about your perspective on what makes Loka unique and how you view that process with customers.
Yeah, well, I think the story that Dom shared of I think it was 27 use cases that we might call it, is a really good illustration of what's important in selecting the best use case from the very beginning, right? And so I think a lot of our customers have situations where a board or investors or an executive have sort of said, you need a Gen AI strategy, you gotta go do something. And a lot of what that turns into is how can we do our own, chat-based search of, fill in the blank, right? And this is something that maybe has value for the company, but in many cases isn't the highest and best use of generative AI, even if it's a feasible one. And so a lot of what we do up front is really thinking through that qualification process. What is really going to be ROI positive? What is something that a company has sort of unique data, unique value that they can bring to the generative AI model? It's not something that Salesforce is going to go build for you anyhow, or some other broad application platform. And then narrow that down to an area that, if the POC manages to be successful, is going to be more investment into that production environment. Because of course, it's not just running the model, but it's also maintaining the model and everything else that you need to do once that model is in production. And so a lot of these, I think, kind of die in the vines. It's just not that value right from the beginning.
Great, thanks for that. And I think it resonates with everybody in the room that the discipline, rigor, and expertise to conduct that type of work is super important. It's why the competency stands out for our customers. So, Dom,